Belle from Belle's Book Reviews, and today I'm going to start with an apology to all of you out there. So, I'm really sorry that I haven't been posting for the past month or so, and honestly, I know this isn't an excuse, but I film with the camera, obviously. I write my script, I edit, and I post on my MacBook Pro. And my MacBook Pro has nowhere that I can put in the memory disk, and it has nowhere that I can put in the chip to my mouse. So I need to use this gadget thing that I have no clue what the name of it is, but it looks like this, and the memory chip goes in here. I have no clue what this little slot is for. I wish I did though. I have no clue what this part is for, but these two, like, I can put in my mouse chip in there, everything. So one day I was walking around the house with my laptop, and I suddenly took out this thing, and I guess I jerked it too violently because somehow it snapped on both ends, and yeah, now this happened. I can take it straight out, which is actually kind of freaky, but also pretty cool because of what you can see inside, and there's also like a little squishy blue thingy. So there's that. And I just realized that part of it is gray and part of it is white, so I'm not sure if that's something I should be worried about, but point is, that's what happened, and I couldn't get my memory chip to connect to my laptop, and for some reason I didn't exactly list it as one of my priorities, so I haven't been posting for the past month or so. So honestly guys, I'm really sorry, and I promise that from now on I will mark this channel as one of my priorities. I will put it somewhere between school, work, school, tutor, and everything else that I have to do in my life. So I promise this channel will go somewhere on there, and from now on, whenever I get technical difficulties, I will actually try to fix it, and I will try my best to post a video a week. So, for this week, I'm going to be reviewing The Giver by Lois Lowry. So, I'm going to start with this review, but with a shout out to Miss Lowry, because Miss Lowry, honestly, she is an amazing author. Her Number the Stars book has won one of those medals, and I read it in 3rd grade, and to this day, it is still one of my favorite books, and I've only chosen like a select few books out of all the books I've read in my entire life that are my favorite books, and honestly, let's just say she is an amazing author. So this book I would recommend for those of you readers who like fiction, and when I say you like fiction, I mean you don't exactly like, I don't mean the readers who like the fiction where this character is starving, this character is like a criminal, this character is living in an old rundown shack, there's a war going on, they're on the brink of death, they're starving to death, blah blah blah, anything, they're suffering, they're about to lose their mind, they're about to die, something like that, and then suddenly something magical, random, something good happens. They're swept off their feet, they're lying in the lap of luxury for a while, suddenly they're plunged into something terrible again, just because the antagonist does it, And then, of course, since they're the protagonist, because where would a story go without a protagonist, or if the protagonist died? So, of course, the protagonist wins whatever obstacle is confronted with them, and they come back up, they defeat the enemy, happily ever after. So, when I say a reader who likes fiction, I mean one of you readers who likes the fiction where, and this is actually really hard to come across. These books are really hard to come across. But I mean one of those fictions where a character lives in a world. Their life is perfect. They're expected to be perfect. The world is perfect. Now just imagine perfect paradise, except with like a million different rules. So if they live in like somewhere like that, and their world, of course they think it's great, but the thing is, it's too perfect, and then of course they probably start a rebellion, they run away, something like that. So I'm talking about those of you who like books like that. So I'd recommend this book for, my age recommendation for this book would be ages 9 and up, because this book honestly is, it's wonderful, and the thing is, ages who are younger than 9 prefer books like Magic Tree House, Geronimo Stilton, sometimes Junie B. Jones, and don't take this the wrong way, I'm not saying that those are bad books, I'm just saying that I'm just trying to prove my point that little kids prefer short, easy books. So there's that, and there's no inappropriate content in this book. There's like just a few memories that the giver gives to Jonas about fighting and suffering, and they don't even describe those very much in detail, so it's honestly not that bad for anybody. And there's that. So this book, I had a lot of mixed feelings about it. So one feeling I had about this book was that it was terrifying. It's terrifying, it's scary, it's honestly scary and terrifying. And because I mean, who wants to live in a world of sameness? Because their entire life is planned out in front of them. Everybody's life is planned out. From the moment you're born, you're taken away from your birth mother, and you have blank and blank. Your job is going to be blank, and you barely make any choices in life because everything's actually planned out for you. And nobody actually has, like, as far as I can tell, nobody has separate birthdays, because every year in December, this group of children come up, this age group, this age group, this age group, you get presented with blank, blank, and blank, all done. So I really do think that it's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrifying. Terrifying, terrible, scary, horrible how your life is planned out in front of you. Because to me, it kind of makes it look like a trap. Because if it's like a trap, because if you step into a trap, you can't get out. So to them, of course, their world must seem like perfect paradise. Their world must seem perfect because there's no poverty, there's no fights, there's nothing. World is great. Everything's good, everything's great. Everything is set out in front of you, and everything's inevitable. Every day you will go to work, every day you will go home to your wife and children, to your assigned wife and assigned children. but nobody pays much attention to that. And then you will live a happy life until you become an old and go to the house of old. And once you're at the house of old, then you live there until you're finally released. So it's honestly terrifying. Another part of me had really mixed feelings about the end of this book, because this side of me liked the end of this book. This side of me thought, oh wow, this is great. This is really creative. This is new, but I am flexible and I accept new. This is great. This is creative. How the author lets you imagine what is going to happen to Jonas and Gabe. Will they, in your opinion, survive? They sit by a bonfire. They share Christmas with a random family, I guess, maybe. Do they start a rebellion against sameness? Do they die a gruesome death in the snow? So part of me thought this was a really creative and great idea for the ending of the story, but this side of me thought, like, what is this? What is this? Because this side of me really does like how the end of books ties up most loose ends. Maybe a question or two is forgotten in the middle, but it does tie up most of the loose ends, and you know what happens to the characters. And this side of me doesn't really like how the uncertainty of it all, how you don't know exactly what happens to the characters. So I had mixed feelings about that, and there were also a few things that I really liked about this book. So one thing I liked about this book was how quickly Jonas starts feeling really comfortable around the giver. Because Jonas just came up to the giver one day and they kind of clicked, honestly. I feel like they clicked and life was great. They're kind of like best buddies-ish, although the giver is a lot older than Jonas. I also like the sense of security for all of them, because I know I said I didn't like the sameness and that I really hated how everything was perfect and set out, but still, to them, they don't know the real world like this. They don't know that there's a world out there where each of your choices affects your life, actually. And I also liked how Jonas can actually still choose his friends, and how his friends aren't assigned to him. So that's something I liked. And something that I didn't like was sameness. Once more, here's me fighting with myself again, but this side of me thinks sameness sucks. How can you live with a wife and children who you haven't even fallen in love with? She was assigned to you, or the husband, whichever way it is, and your children are assigned to you too. How can you live with a family which has been assigned to you and have everything planned out in your life? And I also hated is a very strong word, but I did hate it, how when Jonas asks his parents if they love him, they immediately start coming up with a million replacement questions. Jonas comes up to them like, do you love me? And then they're just like, oh, precision of language, blah blah blah, precision of language. Now if you Jonas asked, do we enjoy your company, we would say yes. If you asked, do we enjoy your presence, we would say yes. And they come up with all these different question replacements. And I feel, when I read this part the first time, I felt like it was just them telling Jonas, no, I don't love you. I'm just going to try to sugarcoat this because I don't want to hurt your feelings. So it felt like they were saying that, although I hope they weren't. Another thing I hated was that nothing is real, and this relates to sameness again. Your family isn't your blood family. Your job is maybe a job that you like, but your job isn't something that you chose. Everything isn't something that you chose. I also didn't like how suddenly burdened by all these memories, Jonas suddenly, all the games that he used to play with his friends. I mean, on that random free day where you didn't have to do anything, when Asher, Fiona, and everyone are playing like this pretend good guy, bad guy game, and where everyone's shooting each other, they're dying, because they've never known how this actually feels. And then Jonas just goes like, no guys, don't play it. And I also feel like he did ruin, I don't feel like it, I'm sorry. He did ruin it. He came up to them in the middle of the entire game, and once he got shot, everyone's just like, oh, you're shot, Jonas. And he's like just standing there trying to hold back tears because he just received this memory from the giver the other day about starving and dying in war. So he just tells everyone, oh, don't play this game. This relates to a really bad thing. And Asher's just like, I'm sorry. And Jonas keeps on trying to explain to all of them, but then Asher's just like, I'm sorry, okay? So I feel like his assignment, all these memories, kind of ruined his friendship with Asher. So I don't know if that's kind of exaggerating it, but that's what it kind of felt like. And I also didn't like their big deal about precision of language, because yes, precision of language is important, or else you're exaggerating it or not making it seem as important as it actually is. But come on, honestly, I just thought like, come on, really, because I don't understand the big deal about precision of language, because yes, it's important, but really, how can like every single time somebody messes up on a word, how can you immediately just go like, oh no, precision of language, blah blah blah, precision of language, precision of language, precision of language. So I really think that a lot of things in this world of sameness were annoying. So there's that, and that's actually all I have to say about this book. So I'm going to give this book a 5 out of 5 stars, because most of the things that I just listed is because of sameness and because they've never experienced these things before. So because of sameness is how the story actually took place. So there's that, and yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. And thank you for watching. I'm sorry for not posting the entire month. I will try from now on to post every week. So, bye guys.